Hello everybody, this is Brian Mouse from Old Friends Wine. I'm coming to you today with Rob Weingart, my partner. He's the staff expert. I don't know what I'm doing compared to him. I know a lot about wine, but this man knows a lot about wine. Over on our website, we have an article that is very popular with our readers. It's all about tannins and acidity. It's one of the topics that most people know the words, they know the verbiage, but they don't really know anything about what they mean. So I thought it would be great today to ask Rob to explain to us what the difference is between tannins and acidity. Rob, would you care to explain?
Tannins versus acidity. Okay, well we have wandered into this one. This is one of those places where wine nerds spend their eternity. If we were Jedi, this would be sort of the middle portion of what it is to be in the Force. Um, Tannin is at the core of it. It's a phenolic compound, which means it's a reactive compound that is derived from skin, bark, stems, any variety of places in nature that it both derives flavor, but also creates a bitterness, a sort of drying effect on the palate. We see it in things like cinnamon. So when you do the cinnamon challenge and you can't breathe, that's because the tannin is literally sucking the moisture out of your mouth. It is bitter in orange peel or in grapefruit. Those are both things that are very high in tannic compounds. Um, Biologically speaking, these are compounds that are designed to make other animals not eat it. We as humans aren't that smart. So we decided that this was a delightful flavor and we would lean into it and find a way to sort of like balance it out. Tannin is in wines one of the things that led us to aging wines. Once upon a time, we didn't separate out the skin and the leaves and the seeds and everything else from our presses. And so we'd press out these really harsh tannins, and those wines would need time to age and mature and to soften. One of my favorite stories, and it's definitely an apocryphal story, but a story I go back to, is this idea that once upon a time, like landowners would hire people to come in and harvest their fruit, and they would send them lesser wines. They would send them wines that weren't necessarily going to be fit to serve for their landowning friends. And these non-landowning friends had a secret. They realized that if they brought their homemade cheese with them and ate them in conjunction with this lesser wine, that the lesser wine was softer, it was more drinkable, it was more approachable, and that the cheese itself was sort of fleshed out a little bit and sort of had a broader palate to sort of enjoy. And so the two of them together were more than the sum of their parts. And it really does feed this idea that like food and wine are designed to go with one another. It's not something that's unique to the pre-theme menu folks. Like everybody has a chance to really enjoy this and do this together, and it just takes you taking some time to kind of understand what's going on. So speaking about what's going on the flip side of this, let's talk about acid. So acid is the um, is a different side of the thing entirely. Acid actually makes you salivate. Acid is formed in the grape from the very, very moment that it starts producing. As soon as the grape is sort of formed, it produces acids. Each of these acids is over the time going to be metabolically converted to a sugar. And those sugars are what we're looking at for harvesting a grape. When we decide to harvest a grape and turn it into wine is really a question of what is the pH, what is the acid by extension of that grape versus what is the sugar of that grape. And when we have those two numbers, that's when you make the decision to like pull a grape in and actually turn it into wine. Very few places in the world don't allow you to acidify. So most winemakers these days are going to use that as sort of a baseline and then acidify back to where they really feel like the wines are the best. So it's not like there's good or bad there, but there's definitely sort of a question about like where is that balance? Where is that place where acid is sort of its most natural, its most pronounced, its most sort of straightforward, and by extension, its most integral. um, grapes like Pinot Noir on the red side, or grapes like Sauvignon Blanc or Chardonnay. This balance of acid versus sugar is a really important question, and it very much defines what the finished wine actually looks like. So, um, acid and tannin are both super important, and a characteristic that you could spend a lot of time going down like a black hole of nerddom. So don't hesitate to go down that hole, but also understand that like it's a big part of how we talk about mull wine. So
Thanks a lot, Rob. Yeah, and thanks for keeping it simple enough, but yet in depth enough for us to kind of understand. That seems like something that just about anyone really could get. Thank you so much for all of that information. Again, there is a written version of this information on our website, which is linked down in the description below. I want to thank Rob for his time today answering that question on video, even though we got the blog post. I hope that you found this video helpful. Please hit that like button if you did. But before you go, I want to introduce you to a topic that we've got on this channel. It's all about the differences between the main kinds of wines that we see in grocery store shelves and restaurant menus all the time. We're talking like the regular things that you always see. Cabernet, Merlot, Sauvignon Blanc, all of the things that you always see. If you don't know what the difference between these things are, make sure to watch that video. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you, Rob.